Happy safe at home, everybody. I know you guys must be going stir crazy. I'm going pizza crazy. I don't know about you, but I've been wanting a pizza, but I've been doing frozen. You might depend on where you are. I'm in an area where the delivery of the pizza is not so great. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate for me, but I talked to my friend Anthony, which I'm giving shout out to. He's luckily got places that deliver that are great where he is staying at home, safe. But we kind of chatted, and I'm gonna do a pizza in a pan at home. So a lot of people say, oh, what are you gonna do? You need an oven and stuff. I'm gonna try to modify. Like, this is all about the time of substitution and time making stuff happen when nothing's happening. So this dough has been working for about 2 days. It's really great. There is no sugar, there is no oil in this. Basically, all it is salt, all-purpose flour, water, and yeast. That is all. Just a little bit technical, takes some time, but it works really well. It's nice and soft. Okay, so I've got a pan. It's a non-stick type pan, and I'm just using a regular little burner, but I'm gonna make it go hot. It's getting really hot. So when you have pizza, so I'm gonna do a hybrid, like, you know, Neapolitan's like stone floor, really hot, you know, 800, 700 plus degrees. But we're gonna try to emulate certain things about it. But this dough is nice and soft and pliable. I'm gonna have this working out. So you don't need much of a lip on the crust like a New York style or just regular. So I'm just going to flatten that out a little bit, and not a whole lot of flour here, but just enough so it doesn't stick. It's still not wet, I should say, but it's got some stick to it, and it's okay. I'm gonna look the other side. It's I'm gonna let it flatten out a little bit while my pan is getting hot, and it's gonna go right in. So we're gonna double side it. So I'm gonna go down one side first. Watch this, and we want to try to get some dark charring, and it will happen because I just tested one now. It's delicious. Let me fix some of these holes a little bit, and we'll come out like that, and we're gonna let that sit for a second. But on the other hand, I'm gonna keep it really simple, just like a tomato sauce uncooked, some mozzarella, and we're gonna watch this thing get nice and hot. So I love pizza, if you don't know, so I've done some tests on certain places in New York. So I'm kind of trying to work on some pizzas that are like kind of a hybrid, New York style with the Neapolitan, but we're gonna let that go a little bit longer. And then we're gonna work on some toppings, but we're gonna keep it very, very simple today. Okay, so I'm using a non-stick pan, which I know guarantees it won't. If you get your pan really hot and there's some flour on it, it shouldn't stick, but I think that should work. I don't know if you should use oil because that might actually make it stick even more. So I think you just should have a really smoking hot pan. I think it'll work out just fine. It might, if it's too wet though, it will kind of burn up in certain spots, but I think that's okay because I want a little bit of that char like you would get on a stone floor. So that's kind of what we're trying to emulate because that char is a little bit of flavor. It won't be wood smoke, but you'll get that nice crunch, you get a little texture, and so now you can kind of see it. See how it's doing that here? I spread it out in the pan a little bit. I don't want to break up all the beautiful air holes that happen through the yeast and stuff and the fermentation, so to speak. But now you can kind of see how it's getting charred through one side. So there you go, you get a little char. So I'm going to put that down a little bit. And while that's going, I'm going to top it. So I'm keeping it really, really simple. A little bit of tomato here. Just put in spots, just really loose and light. Not super much to saturate it because you just want a little bit of it. I'm going to the edge. Just kind of like paint it nicely, just like that. I don't want it too heavy of a topping. It is raw tomato, but I like it because it's nice and sweet. That kind of product right there. Just a regular shredded mozzarella. You can use, the other hand-pulled mozzarella if you can find it, but I'm just finding something you can find in your store readily available. Not every place is gonna have the mozz. I don't want too heavy with cheese, but just enough to give it that. Get a nice sizzle. And then, just to make sure like an oven where it's covered and it can melt up, I'm going to put this down like that, okay? And that's gonna seal it. So you're gonna need to do it for a little bit. I kind of kept my hand on to see what it is, what it feels like, but it's okay. You think it's gonna burn, but there's no moisture or oil, so it's not gonna really fry up. So it's gonna be dry heat, but you want that nice little char. So we're gonna wait a few minutes and you see what it is. So I'm gonna unlid this and add a little bit of basil. Let's see how that's working right there. I want a little bit of that going all through each piece. Look at that. I can smell the char happening. So if you have your smoke alarms, guess what? Shut them down. I don't have a smoke alarm here, so this place could burn down, just like Britney Spears' gym, but it's okay. It's not by candlelight, this is by portable flame. So we're gonna let that cook a little bit longer, and we'll see where we're gonna check on it. I'm putting my hand on it. It's feeling nice now, so let's just check the crust. Because you don't want to check on it too much because you want that heat to kind of keep in there so the cheese melts on top. Because you're kind of, so you have to mimic an oven. There we go. All right, nice chart on the bottom. Oh yes, just like, woo. There we go. All right, there we go. See, so watch. See in the bottom? I want a nice little char there. Give it nice in there, and the front's gonna be a little bit crispy like that. So look at that. Pizza in a pan.